I find it really funny. I find it really funny how a lot of these so-called insiders think they know it all. People watch me and tend to think that I have this pompous, cocky, godlike, narcissistic attitude that I know everything and I have all the answers for everything. I don't have the answers for anything at all. I don't. But what I do have is logic. What I do have is common sense. What I do have is a brain. What I do have is love for professional wrestling. And what I do have is the mindset to utilize certain individuals where they need to be utilized. I used to manage a store, and I'm not saying that managing a fucking store is the same as managing a roster in a wrestling promotion, but I do have experience delegating certain tasks, and I have experience delegating people to positions that are going to not only enhance their job, but it's going to make my job a lot easier. You see, running a store or running a business is the same thing as running a wrestling promotion. You're ultimately running a business. And what WWE seems to lack is common logic. If you guys watched, and I'm very proud of what I put forth in that video because I did a lot of research and I did a lot of thought before I actually hit record. And I'm going to do the same thing here again today. I made a video following the first draft, the first new draft that WWE did back in 2016. I told you exactly what needed to be done. If you guys went back and watched that video, you guys will have heard me say two specific things within that video that would make not only WWE's life easier, but it would make our life easier watching the product every Monday and Tuesday, and it would come off as a better presentation. What I stated in that video is put the tag team division on one brand and put the women's division on the other. How likely is that? Probably not likely at all. I don't think WWE would ever do anything like that. Why? Because it makes too much sense. They would rather operate Monday Night Raw with a tag team division of 3 teams. They would rather operate Monday Night Raw with a women's division of realistically 5 different women that you utilize in rotation on a daily basis. Keep 1 or 2 or 3 different women on the sidelines for 7, 8, 9 months at a time, then want to bring them back to television and then pretend like they were there the entire time. How am I, as a viewer, going to care about a Mickie James who was catering MVP for 8 months out of the year? You want to bring her back late last year in a program with Alexa Bliss, and you expect me to care about Mickie James? Why wasn't Mickie James on the show the entire year if your women's division was so important? WWE doesn't take into consideration that injuries can happen at the drop of a dime. What happened to Matt and Jeff Hardy? 1 minute they're there, the next they're not. Same thing with everybody else in that division. What happened when Dean Ambrose went out with injury? You have no more Shield. You have no more Rollins and Ambrose. It could happen to the Revival. It did happen to the Revival. It could happen to Sheamus and Cesaro. More than likely, it will. Same thing with the Usos and the New Day and the Bludgeon Brothers and everybody else on SmackDown Live. Injuries can happen. But I'm talking specifically about Monday Night Raw. Where is their tag team division? Where is their women's division? You do know that this brings the show quality down week after week after week. I stated this in 2016, and it rings ever true here in 2018, and I will not stand for this bullshit anymore. This is exactly what needs to be done. I'm not changing my stance on it. I still to this day think this is the best thing for WWE to do. If we're now talking about making all pay-per-views in 2018 dual-branded pay-per-views, there's a lot of negative that comes along with that. And I don't think WWE is realizing what it could do to half of their roster. A lot of these insiders, I mentioned these insiders and these know-it-all podcasts that exist in our community. They don't know shit. They don't know shit. They're going to tell you the shit that you want to hear, and then they're going to fucking pucker their lips and kiss ass for WWE in hopes that somebody is listening so that they can land a job somewhere in the company. Instead of giving the God-honest truth to their audience, they rather just fucking sit there and suck corporate cock. I will not do that. I will not do that. I always bring attention to what needs to be talked about. And this is a big enough deal that I'm making a separate video on it. This dual-branded pay-per-view talk that we've been hearing all week is a major, major, major issue that WWE needs to address right now. And everybody's jumping the gun that WWE is going to bring back every pay-per-view for 2018 as a dual-branded pay-per-view. That's not the way to go about it. It's not the way to go about it. This is the reason why the first draft and the first brand split was a failure. And now WWE is treading the same water with this brand split and this draft. Instead of having fun with it, WWE wants to do it because it's the in thing to do. WWE wants to separate the brands because USA Network wants to differentiate Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown has to go live. We'll make two separate entities. We'll make fun out of it. WWE has done nothing in terms of fun with this brand split. They haven't embraced it. They haven't had fun with it. They haven't utilized any of the mid-card talent that we thought would be utilized properly with a brand split. How is a draft and a dual-branded pay-per-view schedule? How is merging the rosters going to help anything for this company? Everybody cites ticket sales. Oh, ticket sales are slumping. Ticket sales are in the dumps. Whose fault is that? I don't want to hear your lame excuses about ticket sales. I don't want to hear your lame excuses about, oh, well, the ticket gate isn't making much money, so now we have to merge both Raw and SmackDown every pay-per-view to sell the seats, to sell out every arena we go to. You don't need to do that. Why don't you look yourself in the fucking mirror and realize that this is your doing? This is your blame. You're to blame for everything that's happening now. You want to look at fucking statistics and analytics and numbers? Look yourself in the fucking mirror and realize that everything that you've done up until this point and all the problems that exist are because of you. And I'm talking to WWE Creative, WWE Corporate, Shane, Stephanie, Triple H, Vince McMahon. I don't want to hear about ticket sales being in the dumps. Let's go back to 2017. You don't even need to backtrack that far. We got every big name pay-per-view in 2017. The Rumble. Not everything could be built around a Royal Rumble. That's a great use and utilization of a dual-branded pay-per-view. WrestleMania. There's only one WrestleMania every year. Nothing touches WrestleMania. It's a 7-hour extravaganza. Not everything can be the biggest party of the summer. Not everything can be a Survivor Series where it's brand warfare. So right out of the gate, if you merge both Raw and SmackDown, all of those pay-per-views the way you've built them up right now and the way we perceive them, their just overall presence and the overall feeling for those pay-per-views will kind of go down a notch. Because really, it's only the opportunity that we have to watch both Raw and SmackDown superstars interact with one another. This is the world and the perception that you created. Now you're going to go back on that? So Survivor Series will go back to being the pay-per-view that Vince McMahon wanted to get rid of because the concept is dead. You want that? I don't want that. This is your doing. This is your doing. 2017 seen main events like Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. First time ever. The build was fantastic. What else on that show gave you the idea of, wow, I need to buy a ticket for this show? I need to go see Great Balls of Fire. Nothing. The undercard on that show, even though it was a decent pay-per-view, was actually one of the better pay-per-views that WWE did in 2017. But other than Joe and Lesnar, is there anything that really we sat at home saying, wow, I can't wait to see this? Were we emotionally invested in anything on that show? No. So why are people going to pay big money to sit in an arena and pay $15 for a popcorn and $14 for a Coors Light when they can sit at home with their kids, their wife, their friends, their family, and watch this one-match pay-per-view in the comfort of their own home? This is your doing. You can't sell me on a pay-per-view event. You could sell me on the match, which you certainly did. You sold me on Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, and you did a fantastic fucking job at doing that. But you didn't sell me on Great Balls of Fire as a pay-per-view in its entirety, as a whole. The rest of the fucking undercard was garbage. Garbage. No matter what happened in that ring on that night, no matter how great the in-ring action was, I was not emotionally invested in anything on that show going into the show. So why are people going to willingly pay money to sit there in the audience to see that? And this is a thing that WWE has done in nauseam every single year. They build these pay-per-views with a top match or two, and then they neglect the mid-card. The mid-card seems to go unnoticed. The mid-card just seems to be there as filler till we get to the Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar main event. Same thing happened with No Mercy. You build No Mercy up as No Mercy Mania. You give me 2 WrestleMania caliber matches as the top 2 matches on that pay-per-view. You give me Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman, which was a colossal fucking failure. And then you give me Roman Reigns versus John Cena. What else on that show? I don't even remember what else happened on that show. Nor do I care. Because you give me the perception of this is what we're going to build, and this is what we're going to hype, and everything else is fucking, who cares? This is your fault. WWE needs to look themselves in the mirror for neglecting the talent that they continuously waste every single week. Storylines mean nothing. A women's division that is fucking absolutely garbage. A tag team division that is non-existent. You can't even call that a division. With 3 teams? Let's look at SmackDown Live. I don't need to look any further. Why aren't people buying tickets to these shows? Are you fucking kidding me with that logic? With that lame excuse? You do realize that Jinder Mahal was your WWE champion coming out of WrestleMania. The man won the title in May, and he held the title for most of the year. Who the fuck would want to sit in an arena and watch Jinder Mahal main event every main event that SmackDown Live has on pay-per-view from May to December? Yet you want to know why people aren't buying tickets to these single-branded pay-per-views. Look yourself in the mirror and realize that this is your own fault. Now you want to make a decision and give me dual-branded pay-per-views every single month going forward. You don't realize how detrimental that is to this brand split. You don't need to have dual-branded pay-per-views every fucking month. You need to have 2 brands that differentiate themselves from one another. You have to have 2 separate entities. You actually have to have creative minds that give a shit about writing engaging television where I can invest my time in what you're trying to tell. Nobody's going to come to the arena to see Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. There was no way you were going to sell me on that fucking bum as WWE champion. No way. You really must think people have short-term memories. We all know what he did previously. There was no way anyone was going to take him seriously on SmackDown Live, the same brand in which you have AJ Styles. There's no way you're going to take him seriously as WWE champion. And then every fucking match, every outcome, every match you had with Randy Orton ended the same fucking way. And then you got the balls to bring the Great Khali in at Battleground. Do I need to go over why that was a fucking colossal failure? Yeah, that's exactly what I want to pay my money to fucking see. Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal for the 4th fucking time, but this time we're going to add the Great Khali. You are to blame. Look yourselves in the mirror, and when you look at your analytics and your statistics and your fucking gate numbers for ticket sales, why aren't people coming to the live events? Because your television sucks. That's why. Tag team wrestling is something people want to see. Tag team wrestling has been a thing that has been neglected for years on WWE television. Years. You got the Bar, you got the Revival, and you have the Club on Monday Night Raw. Hardly a division at all. You got the Usos, that's 4. You got Shelton and Benjamin, 5. You got the Bludgeon Brothers, 6. You got, who else on SmackDown Live that's doing their thing right now? The New Day, 7. 7 fucking teams that you've been utilizing on SmackDown Live. Rusev Day, you don't even utilize them to their full potential. 8 teams right there. 8 teams right there. Then you got Breezango, and you got the Ascension, and then you got Authors of Pain coming up after WrestleMania, more than likely. Sanity coming up after WrestleMania, more than likely. That's 10 teams right there. There's no reason to merge these rosters and make the brand split just a complete waste of time. There's no reason to merge any of these rosters. The best thing for WWE to do is either put the tag teams on one show and the women on the other, or have them be a revolving door so both teams get a taste of women's wrestling and tag team wrestling. Have Sasha Banks represent Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. All the women on all shows would be Raw and SmackDown. It would spread across both shows. That's what you have to do. And then you keep the world titles separate to each brand. You keep the mid-card titles separate to each brand. And you would just give yourself a better sense of booking, a better sense of quality television. We'd see Sasha versus Becky, or Becky versus Asuka. And you can have more engaging storylines. You'd actually have a division. Because when an injury goes down, or 2 injuries go down, you'll be looking at yourself like, what the fuck do we do? You'll be running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Same thing that you're doing right now with the tag team division. How many more times are we going to see the Club versus the Revival? How many more times are we going to see the Bar versus Seth Rollins and a mystery opponent, or a mystery partner to be chosen? You're okay with rinse and repeat every single fucking week? That's why Monday Night Raw is in the shitter it's in right now. That's why SmackDown Live is in the shitter it's in right now. How many fucking 6-woman tags do we have to see? How many teams do you have on SmackDown Live? Yet, the main program right now is the Usos and the Bludgeon Brothers, which is beginning slowly but surely right now. Then you got Benjamin and Gable being built up in a feud with the New Day over pancakes? That's the best that you got? Some cared for your tag team division. Instead of giving me a competitive tag team division where Benjamin and Gable can go against the Revival, or the Revival can go up against the New Day. There's no reason for 2 tag team titles. There's no reason for 2 women's titles. WWE didn't think this out. They didn't think any of this out. There's no reason to have 2 tag team titles. There's no reason for 2 women's titles. Both shows. If not both shows, then the tag teams go to SmackDown, and the women, because Stephanie McMahon is the fucking thoroughbred of the women's division, she is the fucking trailblazer of the women's division. Stephanie McMahon started the women's revolution, apparently. The women would be on Monday Night Raw. That is the way to go. But I don't want to hear anybody citing ticket sales for the reason why WWE is going to A, merge the rosters, or B, have dual-branded pay-per-views. Look at yourself in the fucking mirror and look back at the last 12 months of your programming. Do you want to know why people aren't coming out to the fucking show? Because the people with the pen in hand don't know how to write shit. And the fact that you had Jinder fucking Mahal as your WWE champion for 8 months, 7 months, however fucking months. I wish I could fucking use that tool from Men in Black and erase the fucking memory of him being champion. Main eventing every pay-per-view from May to December. Why aren't people coming out to the show? Give me a break. It's your own fucking fault. Now people are jumping the gun here. We don't really know what WWE is going to do. Is a reset in order? Absolutely. Is another draft necessary? Absolutely. If I was WWE, I'd set up a draft coming out of WrestleMania. And I would do exactly what I talked about in this video, and I would do exactly what I talked about back in 2016 when we watched that terrible draft unfold back in 2016. That gave SmackDown Live the opportunity to be better, in which it did become better than Monday Night Raw, operating with little to no talent. People we didn't care about at that moment. A mid-card that built SmackDown Live to be better than Monday Night Raw with the IC title and The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. Where's that mentality? Put the effort into the mid-card. You do realize that if dual-branded pay-per-views do happen, what's going to happen to the Rusevs and the Sami Zayns? What's going to happen to the Aiden Englishes? What's going to happen to the Ty Dillingers? What's going to happen to everybody else that's not being featured on television? So you're going to have an entire month, entire year of pay-per-views with John Cena and Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar and all these big-name guys, right? What about the little guy? Are they going to be delegated to main event and main event only? What's going to happen with these guys? WWE superstars and WWE superstars only? That's not right. That's not right at all. The reason why the brand split happened in the first place was to give opportunities to people that were not on television. To give opportunities to people that have the talent to be the top name of a brand and give them an opportunity to shine away from the Reigns and the Cenas and the Lesnars and the Rollins and the Strowmans. Dolph Ziggler and The Miz proved that in 2016. Alexa Bliss proved that in 2016. Baron Corbin proved that in 2016. Don't give me this shit. Ticket sales. You have to have the mindset that if you merge the rosters and you have dual-branded pay-per-views, that none of the little guys are going to get TV time. None of them. And I don't want that at all. WWE needs to be in the market not only to make money, but to make superstars, to build for the future. If you merge the brands and you have dual-branded pay-per-views, that means to me, A, you don't give a fuck about your mid-card, and B, you ain't all that excited about building for the future. You're going to stick with the Ortons and the Reigns and the Lesnars and the Cenas and the Undertakers and everybody else that we see on television every single week in a prominent role. We want to see the little guy get his opportunity. WWE's pay-per-view calendar for the rest of the year. We got Elimination Chamber coming up on the 25th. We got Fastlane. Elimination Chamber, by the way, is a Raw pay-per-view, if you haven't noticed already. We got March 11th, Fastlane, SmackDown Live. Then we got WrestleMania on April 8th, which is a dual-branded pay-per-view. So from WrestleMania 34 on April 8th, SmackDown would not have its own pay-per-view until May 27th. That is almost 2 months of no pay-per-view for SmackDown Live. No pay-per-view for SmackDown Live. Now, the next pay-per-view following WrestleMania is Backlash, and that's what everybody's talking about. Backlash is going to be a dual-branded pay-per-view, and everybody's starting the rumor that WWE is going to have dual-branded pay-per-views for the remainder of the year. I don't think that's a good idea whatsoever, and we really don't know. This all started from a rumor that everybody's just kind of twisting and turning into their own story. Backlash is going to be a dual-branded pay-per-view, or it got changed to a dual-branded pay-per-view. We don't know what WWE has planned. For all we know, Payback on May 27th could be the first pay-per-view in which WWE is going to have all hands on deck coming out of a draft. We don't know if the draft is going to happen after WrestleMania. We don't know if the draft is going to happen 1 week or 2 weeks before Backlash. And WWE is going to have a big blowout on pay-per-view. We don't know. We don't know. We haven't been given the information. So why don't you just take a few steps back here and realize that without any proper information, all of this is just speculation right now. But all I know is WWE has absolutely no room to have merged rosters. WWE has no room for merged rosters to have a Raw and a SmackDown because of the little guy. The mid-card talent that's going to be visibly absent. And do you trust WWE Creative to write for these types of guys? They'll never get featured. They will never get featured. Rusev will never be on your television again in a prominent role. Aiden English will never be on television in a prominent role. Sami Zayn will probably go back to being the Sami Zayn we knew on Monday Night Raw before he got moved to SmackDown Live. You'll never see Ty Dillinger again. You'll never see Ty Dillinger again at all. What WWE needs to do is exactly what I laid out for you. It's either one of two things, and merging the rosters is not the answer. Does merging the roster come with pros? Yes, it does. It makes the quality of the shows better, and it gives you just a fuller experience of the entire WWE. But that's where the pros end. There's not many pros as far as merging the rosters. I don't want to see merging of the rosters. This will be WWE admitting that they failed with the brand split. And I don't want to admit that the brand split was a failure because the brand split actually is a good thing. Opportunity for all is to be had. I don't want to see merging of rosters because I don't want to see the same faces every single week. We see the same faces every single week right now, but that's WWE to blame because they can't write. They don't know how to write, nor do they care to write good television. WWE is dropping the ball on the brand split. They're dropping the ball on quality of television because they just simply don't care. SmackDown is insufferable. Monday Night Raw is not that much better. When you have a women division of 5 on one brand and 5, 6 on the other, and we see repetitive matches every single week, how long do you think people are going to sit there and just constantly take the rinse and repeat method that you shove down our throats? They're going to reach for the remote control and watch the NBA. They're going to watch college basketball. They're going to watch something else that's more entertaining. They're not going to watch it every single week because we've seen it already 1,000 fucking times. What they need to do is merge the rosters. And you're not looking at the top of the card. The top of the card is fine. It's the tag team divisions and the women's divisions that have suffered the most with this brand split. You either put one on one show and the other on the other show, or you have a revolving door of tag teams both featured on Raw and SmackDown, same with the women. That's what needs to be done. Then there doesn't need to be merging of brands. There doesn't need to be dual branded pay-per-views. That alone will give you more star power. That alone will give you better quality shows instead of just risking half of your roster to merge the rosters for the sake of ticket sales. Doesn't need to be done. The brand split needs to be in effect. Because when Aleister Black and Adam Cole and Andrade Cien Almas and the Velveteen Dream and Lars Sullivan all get called up, you know what that's going to do? You're going to put those guys on a merged roster and they'll never see the top of the card. They'll never see the top of the card. And at that same token, you're going to push down everybody else that's already there because they're already not being used. So who are you going to use? You're going to use an Adam Cole or a Lars Sullivan over a Ty Dillinger? Of course you are. Ty Dillinger should be utilized now. He should be ascending the ranks on SmackDown Live so that when you bring up somebody from NXT, those guys aren't taking his spot that he was never fucking given. You need to have the brand split. The brand split needs to be in place and not have it be something that WWE did for the sake of, yeah, we did it for 2 years, now we're going to abandon it. It needs to be something that you look at and it needs to be cherished. It really does. For For the sake of the fucking television shows, it needs to be something that you take seriously. Seriously. That's all I have to say on this topic. And we'll talk about this again on Off the Script, but I am very, very, very passionate about not having these dual rosters merged or these dual branded pay-per-views. I don't know what else I could tell you. And I have no notes here. This is all off the top of my head. I'm at the supermarket today. I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about. I'm watching 205 Live last night. I'm looking at the notes. And I'm just thinking about what I'm going to talk about with this dual branded pay-per-view nonsense. That's the best way for me to put it for you. I don't have anything else to say on it. You either agree with me or you disagree with me. And if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear what you would do. Because I don't think there's any other alternative option that could be done. We should not be merging the rosters. If what I said here did not resonate with you and make sense, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You're jeopardizing half of your roster. You might as well put them on unemployment. Because we won't ever see them. You'll be stuck with the Reigns and the Ortons and the Mahals at the top of the card every single show. Because that's what WWE does. They push the bigger names and leave the little guy to just sit there and wait and wait and wait. And knowing WWE, because we want to see those little guys, we'll never see them at all. Because they're the ones that are not making WWE money. People are going to come to see the Cenas and the Ortons and the Nakamura's and the Styles and this guy and that guy and the Strowmans and the Lesnar's. Can't do it. Can't do it. You write better television. You invest the viewer's time into caring about storylines, and you push mid-card talent, and you prioritize mid-card talent to the point where you build them up to be the next AJ Styles, to be the next Randy Orton, to be the next Nakamura. You can't build a show. You can't have quality television if you're pushing the same fucking guys every single week and holding the little guy down. Ticket sales. Look at yourself in the fucking mirror. Ticket sales. 2017. You want to know why people didn't come out to the fucking shows? Give me a break, man. I think I highlighted exactly what the reason was in 2017 and why people weren't coming to these single-branded pay-per-views for Raw and SmackDown. I'm getting the hell out of here, man. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I will see you all on Friday for Off the Script, episode 209 this weekend. I'll talk to you later.